want to be right up on the road so people can see everything. We want to go back a little bit. And I like this up in the front here. I'll probably have definitely going to have a fence that borders the whole perimeter. And then all the way around the side, which is where the borderline is. So I'm going to have a fence that goes around. And, we're going to start planting small. We're going to start small. In the front, we're going to start small. And then we'll go out through the back. And initially, me and my brother, we're going to create a path that leads to the creek. And then we're going to also create a path that leads to the 13 mango trees on this side, because the 13 mango trees is on this side, towards the center of the 10 acres. So probably about 3 to 4, maybe 4 or 5 acres back. You see it's about 13 mango trees that I'm excited because they're already producing. And if you look it up, mango trees produce about 200 plus mangoes a year per tree. There's no way I can eat all of that. So we're going to be giving some of it away, bartering some of it, as well as, keeping for ourselves. Because I love mangoes. Love mango smoothies, mango juice. I love all of that. So, that's essentially what we're going to do. And we got breadfruit on the land. I never had breadfruit, but, I'm going to use that as a bargaining tactic and bartering with other individuals in the area, because the agent told me that them things go for $10 a pop. So give some away. I'm not here to be trying to be greedy. We want to give away, use some of it for labor, so I can get people to come in and help me and work, so on and so forth, man. We got star fruit, plums, the plantains, wild bananas. Just gonna kind of take it to the next level with it. Some avocado trees, and plant some papaya, and just be excited about all this whole endeavor. But this is all attainable for everybody. We don't have to stay in the States. We don't have to stay in the States and try to purchase that expensive land and pay those high-ass property taxes, because it's very expensive in the States. They make it almost unattainable for people. People come in with the American dream from other countries, but the ones that live there, it seems like we be having it the hardest sometimes, because it be all types of incentives for people that's coming from other nations to come in and grab up land. And, we can come and get land in other countries and pay cheap and actually grow all year round. Because up there, when it's winter time like it is now, January 27th, 28th, there's nothing that you can grow in most of those climates. Anything from South Florida, anything from Florida on down, you good most of the time. But shit, we just seen snow up there in North Florida this past week. So that's not even safe all the time. But at the end of the day, if you want to come and get you some land, you don't got to buy a whole 10 acres. You can go get you a few acres. You can go get you a quarter acre and pay a lot less than what I did. But this is where it's at. And I just want y'all to see that we could touch this. This is nothing. I mean, it's something, but me buying this amount of acres in the States, I would have never been able to afford it cash. I don't really like to deal with mortgages unless I'm extending them out. But, this all came to my mind back in about 2020 when I was really, really interested when the pandemic came. I was like, you know what? It's time for me to go ahead and get some land. So I started to look in Florida. I think it was like the middle, maybe August 2020. I was like, you know what? It's time to get some land. So I started to look on this land website around the nation, and Florida was one of the main ones because, of course, I want to grow coconuts. If I can't grow coconuts, I don't really care it's not really that enticing to me. So, and the mountains is back there. You can see the mountains that kind of produce the water that comes through my creek right here, because it's a creek that borders my land right here. But I said, if I can't do coconuts, I don't really want to be there. So I started to look in Florida, South Florida, north of Dade County, north of Broward, and came across some land that really didn't have no electricity near it. And at the time, I didn't have any concept of the off-grid living and how to set that up. And, I kind of said, you know what? Because I found 2 acres for like $17,000. And 2 acres, honestly, would have been solid enough for me. I'd have been good. 17,000, 18 grand. And I could have set it up that way. But, I wasn't familiar with the off-grid concept. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and let it go, because I called the electrical company, and in order for them to get the electrical set up down that way, it was about 70 grand for them to bring the electric from where it was nearest to where that particular piece of land was. And I was like, I'm not trying to pay 70,000 just to get electricity over here. And I didn't understand that, like I said, the off-grid concept with the solar. So that didn't even cross my mind. And then started watching a few videos online, came across a lady named Delilah Fitness. And shout out to Delilah. She was over here in Belize. And she was, showing her food that she was growing. I'm like, man, this is incredible. From Brooklyn. And, her and her sister had set up shop down here. And that inspired me. I was like, shit, I got to get down to Belize. I didn't know what the land prices was at the time. But then when I started to see her, she wasn't talking about land prices or nothing, but just the whole concept of her growing her cucumbers and, had coconuts right there she can grab. I was like, man, this is the life. She was into the fitness thing. And then my mind just opened up. I started looking in Belize. And I found properties that were attainable for cash, acreage. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm going to go down here and check it out. Came down here. Oh, no. Let's back up. The brother Passport Heavy, he put a video out. He was down in Belize. And when he put a video out, he made this shit look, he make all his videos look glamorous. And I ain't really attracted to the glamour in that capacity, but it made it seem like Belize is a hot spot. And when I seen that video, I really, really, really said, man, I'm getting ready to get down here. And then I was at a restaurant up north, and I ran across these ladies who was into the planting foods and everything and having land. And I was like, I'm going to go down to Belize. I want to buy some land in Belize. And she was like, oh, my sister Zinga, she down there in Belize. I'm going to put you in contact with her, who happened to be from up in that specific area. So I didn't contact her right away. And then when I got back to Los Angeles, I reached out to her. And we talked for about 45 minutes. And I asked her what was the worst thing about Belize in her mind. And what she told me, I was like, oh, shit, that ain't enough to keep me away. And I was out. I said, look, I'll be down there by November. Sure enough, I was down there by November. I said I would be there before Thanksgiving. And I made it right after Thanksgiving. Right after Thanksgiving, like that last week of November. I made it down here, came to see 23 acres that I was interested in. And, down here is different. Down here, you got to pay the lawyers up front. And then they'll work their way back, and whatever you don't use, they'll send back to you. In the States, you don't pay lawyers up front. They take their money at the closing. It's done like that. Down here, you got to pay up front, which is usually about $2,971. I think that's what it was for one of the companies. And, you work your way back. So came down here to see that 23 acres. That 23 acres, you couldn't even get to it. Right now, I'm on the main road. This is the road right here. As you can see, all these cars. But I couldn't even get to the land. So I was like, man, I can't get, for me to get to the land, it was a hassle. And then when I got to the road to get to the land, that wasn't even carved out yet. And if it was like, it was the rainy season. It was just the end of the rainy season, so it was real muddy. So I didn't have a 4-wheel drive car. And I was like, man, I'm not going back there. So I wasn't even able to see it. I was like, I'm not going to get it. And it was a great price for the 23 acres, and rightfully so, because you couldn't even get to it. And so I left a little disappointed from that property, and I started to look immediately while I was already down here. While I was down here, I went and seen another 5 acres. And I think they wanted like 35 for that one. And then once I got down there, I saw that I walked it. And then I drove down the road to a few different spots just to get some perspective on it. And one of the guys was like, you don't want to buy